Hare Krishna. My name is savyathemonk. I'm a monk in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. I want to share my opinions about the state of spirituality. There is a lot of current prefixing of spirituality. We hear of African spirituality, Chinese spirituality, Indian spirituality. I find that that is a misnomer because spirituality refers to spirit. So without understanding what is spirit, then we bring spirit down to the platform of matter, where we designate it according to how people identify themselves. So without actually knowing our actual identity as a spiritual being, then we are living a life of illusion. We are misidentified with matter. And therefore, we take the subject of the spirit of consciousness and we bring it down to the level of geography, race, gender, economic class, etc., etc. So I find before people speak about spirituality, when they don't recognize actually what spirit is, then in the name of spirituality, a lot of material consciousness is being shared. We want to respect the identity of people, but we want people to understand that identity is also, in a sense, hierarchical. There is the physical platform, this body. So one naturally, by dint of having a body, is male or female. These days, people don't even find themselves corresponding with the body's identity. Higher than the body is then the senses, meaning the objects of bringing knowledge in. Through the eyes, we bring knowledge, through the ears, through the skin. So many senses are bringing us information. So then there's the mind and what we know, our worldview, how we've been raised, that also becomes how we identify. Some people feel they are like hip hop heads. Me, I'm into roots, rock, reggae. Others feel themselves to be in the yoga space. So many identifications come based on my worldview, my interests, and my concerns. But higher than the mind, there's also the intelligence. So according to how your intellect is fine-tuned, again, people become qualified, PhDs, sometimes we joke, permanent head damage. We become so specialized in a particular field, and then we consider ourselves that. I'm a doctor, I'm a neurosurgeon, I'm a political analyst. That could be an occupation based on how you've cultivated your intellect. But higher than the body, meaning the senses, the mind, and the intelligence, is the soul or the spiritual being. So identifying ourselves primarily as that living being, that spark of life, then can inform our understanding of spirituality. Then we understand at the level of the spirit, it doesn't matter that one has an African, an American, an Indian body. It doesn't matter one's educational qualifications, one's specialization in education. It doesn't matter your social, political affiliations or class. So a point that I like to convey across is that we must be curious about knowledge that informs about the soul or the spirit. That is the platform of unity. Once we identify less than spiritual, then that unity of all souls being living beings, part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, becomes lost. And this is the platform of divided and conquered. Because even within the African space, then, oh, you are Ndebele, you are Pedi, you are Swati, you are Zulu. And then even within families, same ethnic group, then again, when umntana kamalume, when umntana kamamncane, I'm firstborn, you are lastborn. So many differences are there. Even twins don't see the world in the same way. So if we actually want unity, then we have to look for it on the eternal platform of consciousness, the platform of spirit. And therefore, spirituality is to train the human being who is misidentifying with this body and mind to again identify as a spiritual being. From that platform, actual education, which brings the popular statement, unity in diversity, into reality. What is the unity? We are all living beings. What is the life force? It is a spiritual spark. It is an eternal spark. Therefore, we can recognize life in the plant, in the animal. We can recognize it in different species of human being, even in the higher beings. There's unity. The diversity gives flavor to life. Therefore, it is celebrated, but it's not to be emphasized more than the unity. So how people are divided and conquered is when we emphasize the diversity. Then each individual in today's world is being empowered to take themselves too much as a unique individual and not so much as unique within a united space where we are all living. For example, there is no American hunger or African hunger or Chinese hunger. Hunger is felt by all living beings. There is no, oh, the sun is hot in a Christian way, the sun is hot in a Muslim way. All of these are universal: hunger, thirst, heat, getting old, getting sick, because these are affecting living beings. So when we emphasize too much the diversity, then necessarily we are saying the man is the coat that he's wearing. We are saying that the soul is the body that is being worn by the soul. So genuine spiritual knowledge addresses us as spiritual beings. Soon as we start to prefix it, it is when we try to commodify it, break it down into different pieces that can be sold to different people who are confused in their actual identity, who identify on the secondary level, psychological or physical. So I acknowledge that there's a popularity in people even saying, well, I'm spiritual more than religious. Because people look at how even religion, the principles of religion, have been used to pit people against each other. And the interests of politically minded men, profit-making people, have used that to divide people. But if we focus our education, what is spirit? What is the nature of spirit? And therefore understand that life is the eternal platform, the platform of unity. Then we can begin to get the greatest value from spirituality. Without that solid foundation, then we only give lip service in terms of spirituality. Then what happens is that now spirituality means that I decide what I like, what I don't like. I pick and choose from whatever school, and I make up my own concoction. And therefore, that type of education is never complete because you cannot sign up at WITS, at UJ, and at UCT and study different classes from there and think you will graduate and be certified in that particular field. You have to sign up to a school, understand the syllabus, and apply it properly. Then you can be certified and qualified according to that school. So even spirituality has always been taught under different lines of schools and teachers. It is not something just for the cafe where you, on one hand, one is breaking the principles of higher consciousness, and then on the other hand, one is claiming to be making advancements spiritually. Also, eloquence in expressing so many philosophies and knowledge is not really the qualification. I want to say that the beginning of knowledge, as expressed in many wisdom schools and as expressed nicely in Bhagavad Gita by Krishna, he lists 4 main items of knowledge. He says humility, pridelessness, non-violence, and the pursuit of self-realization. This is the entrance to actual knowledge, because one level of knowledge is information gathering. The next level, which is higher, is when that knowledge is applied. Then one gets realized knowledge. So it is a matter of applying that which is heard, living according to that wisdom, and transforming one's consciousness to match one's understanding or information. Then we can learn from that individual even without seeing what books or what name he or she calls her spirituality. So applying spiritual wisdom, first understanding spirit, and then being humble in our approach. This humility means there's a sense of curiosity. I don't know everything. Therefore, I'm eager to learn. And when I learn, then I can have greater understanding, greater sense of purpose. Or even if I think I know my purpose, when I'm humble, then I understand that I can always fine-tune what I know. And then I can go into deeper purpose and deeper understanding. So humility in spirituality gives actual realization. And in this way, this thirst that people have to understand themselves more deeply, to understand the world, to understand the Creator, can bear fruit. Otherwise, when we mix material consciousness and material activity, sense activity, sensuality, with just philosophy and cultivating some lip service knowledge, then we manifest so-called spirituality, pseudo-spirituality. And it doesn't transform us, neither does it transform the next person. So this is a thought that I wanted to share, that let us cultivate spirituality. It is the actual need of every living being. Without pursuing this, then everything else is in the realm of temporariness. It is connected to the body, which is temporary. But when we get the fruits of cultivating the spirit, the soul, then that cannot be taken away by death. Thank you for your ear. Hare Krishna.